listen to it. If you don't mind turning it up a little bit. See how the audio
Are we here?
That makes sense because you're never going to see a baseball game 24-21. But
It should be up no matter what, so.
You talking basketball?
How excited they probably are. Today's convenience to you, and you're not a fan of it. Okay, so what? I bet for a lot of people who are home on the weekend and they see college football, Netflix on their headset. Go watch. So who the heck these two things are? And guess what? You get the announcement tell you something.
You know it. First one's on the list. I'll make sure you win.
sounds like it's picking up that sound.
Hello, Chris.
Not getting any days off.
It's
No, not too many.
Whatever's
Crossover.
Right now, I think that's meant.
It's all right.
That's what? That's just like from the mic. Do you have one of the mics? I do.
I do not. Didn't we have that problem last week?
Sounds like the kitchen.
It was. We're picking up the mic off of the laptop. You can switch.
Oh.
You can switch the mic off of the laptop.
It sounds like dishes in the back.
Yeah, probably is actually.
Oh, no, not
So, right?
we're talking about
You do it on a computer. Just right-click the speaker. Recording devices. That one. Actually, go to that one. Right-click it. Save it. Go to that one. Go to properties. Might be too much.
sauce. You got a little sandwich downstairs, but it's got sausage, right? The sausage is good.
Although, should be getting it.
Heck.
I don't have anything else.
Right.
Oh, Will. How are you?
Guess what?
You're by yourself?
Do you want to, if you want to talk just kind of softly into the mic so they won't pick up over here?
I would say just take it to the table somewhere. Like that one right there is fine. Yeah. Hi, fellas. You guys can grab that table right over there.
Hey, so see where my backpack and my thing
Yep.
is over there?
On that far table. Julius, Jesse, how are you? Thanks for coming, fellas. Well, I know why you're here, because you're here in the station. Now you're hearing me also. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You'll probably hear both the station actually.
No, he's hearing like back in the back for some reason.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not.
It's like he's hearing like the dishwasher.
Picking up.
I feel like you might, and you might.
He's hearing like the dish.
When they call, like email and text me guys.
Still?
Yeah, it's going
Yep, figure it out.
What's up, man? How are you? Good to see you, man. Been a long time. I know.
I mean, I think it's
Hi, Ryan.
It's disabled, so I mean, he's not that outside.
Right. It's just weird how it sounds like it's coming from back.
impact on them because they're such a good defensive team. But we moved the ball so well. I think they were recovering a lot of the night, and defensively we played very, very well and didn't let their guys ever get super comfortable out there on the perimeter, and really pleased with how we played.
Exactly. I mean, you took a big lead and you just, didn't look back on it, and that's the best thing. What can you tell us about the Presbyterian game coming up tomorrow afternoon?
Well, Presbyterian has a tremendous scorer, a guy named Murray, who averages over 21 points per game. He's been to the free throw line almost 100 times already in 12 games. He shoots very well from the free throw line. He's taken, about 70 more shots than the next closest guy. He's assisted. He's turned the ball over a little bit, so a lot of the possessions are ending up with him. He's really a very, very good and explosive player. He led their conference in scoring as a true freshman. So he is someone that we really have to make sure we're alert to and keep an eye on. And they have other good players also, but he is somebody who's really the key for them and somebody that we're really going to have to make sure we're extremely alert to. And not that we'll double team him necessarily all the time, but just really surround him and make him feel that there's not that much space on the floor.
All right, season and everything. But one last question:
Sure.
Has there been anyone in the regular season so far who early in the season who surprised you, and with the way they're playing nationally or anything?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know that South Carolina's off to a great start and even won at Clemson the other night. Northern Iowa had a great win. Not that I'm surprised by that, but now they've beaten North Carolina and Iowa State, two top 5 teams when they played them.
Monmouth?
Yeah, Monmouth for sure. Yeah, Monmouth has about 4 or 5 Power 5 conference wins, so that's tremendous. I think that's the great thing about college basketball. It's there are your traditional powers, and those schools are regularly going to be great. But there are a lot of opportunities for teams, especially teams who are a little bit more seasoned and have a little bit more experience, to have good seasons and capable of beating anybody.
Well, good luck, Coach. I hope you come out with a big victory over the holidays, and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks, Ivan. Same to you. You could almost make an argument, if you rounded off numbers, that this kid that we're going to see tomorrow, Deshaun Murray, would be the third guy to average 20 and 8 because he's at 21.5 points and 7.5 rebounds if you really wanted to round that off and get him to 8. So he'd be the next guy. He's not the answer to the question, of course. I'm going to give the answer because Matt Joseph's telling me no one's getting it right at this point. But that's pretty impressive for a kid who's just, as you said, a true sophomore. He was the freshman of the year, right, in the Big South last year.
Yeah, really is impressive. And you can see, he really stands out even on film because of his explosiveness. Not the tallest guy in the world. He's only 6'5". So to put up those kinds of numbers as a sophomore at 6'5" is really, really impressive.
All right, the other guy averaging, I'm going to cut it off, Matt Joseph, so you don't have to answer the phone, and we're going to take a break, and Jesse and Julius are going to make their way up. We're going to squeeze them in here today. We've got a big crowd in here. Pascal Siakam is the answer. He plays for New Mexico State for the Aggies. Pascal Siakam, and he is averaging, this is pretty impressive now, 22.5 and 12.2 rebounds per game.
Yeah.
I don't know who they're playing. I don't think it really matters when you have numbers when you have numbers like that. They've played Air Force, they've played UTEP, they've played Long Beach, they've played New Mexico so far this season. So those are pretty good numbers. Wyoming, as you said, Chris, even this early in the season, pretty interesting stuff. Yeah. And we'll see 2 of them tomorrow potentially. If you want to round that off with Terry Allen of the Spiders and Deshaun Murray of Presbyterian. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. Julius Johnson, Jesse Pistacacci will join us up here at the head table. A couple of the Spider freshmen. They're with us next as the Spider Sportsline continues from Joe's Inn Bon Air on the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Have you been dreaming about a new deck, screen, porch, or room addition? Make it happen by calling Adideck at 285-4239. Adideck doesn't just build decks. Of course, we can build your new deck or renovate your old one. We also build beautiful screen porches, open porches, sunrooms, and other room additions, and have been for over 25 years. We can design it, build it, and turn your dream into reality. Visit Adideck on the web at adideck.com or call 285-4239 today. That's 285-4239 for additions and decks by Adideck.
Hello, Spider Nation. Bob Black here. As the voice of the Spiders, I see day in and day out what it takes to get ahead of the competition. UPS's team of experts is no different. They offer the tools, advice, and insights to help your small business stay on point. Visit ups.com/startups to find out more. UPS, official logistics company of Richmond Athletics.
U of R's Chris Mooney. VCU's Will Wade. Two coaches squaring off to settle the debate once and for all. Who is the best cooking basketball coach in the RVA? Find out Thursday, April 21st at 6 p.m. during the 4th annual Coaches Cook-Off at the Science Museum of Virginia. Get your tickets today and support the Spiders. Coach Mooney and Max's Positive Vibe Cafe's training program for people with disabilities. Enjoy hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and fun while finding out who's the best cooking coach in the kitchen. Tickets for the 4th annual Coaches Cook-Off are available online at positivevibecafe.com or at the Positive Vibe Cafe. Get yours today.
It's the best part of Monday. Talking Richmond basketball with Coach Mooney and his special guest. This is the Spider Sports Line, live from Joe's Inn Bon Air on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5.
Welcome back to Joe's Inn Bon Air Shopping Center, our pre-Christmas edition of the Spider Sports Line. Bob Black back with you with head coach Chris Mooney, and really excited about our two guests tonight. Will Bryan and I were actually talking. Do we bring them both in at the same time? Do we pair him up with a veteran guy who's done this a couple times before? And we decided let's just throw them to the Wolves, bring them both in together. They'll get a great meal out of the deal. They'll get the first one out of the way, and they're going to be terrific with us for the next 4 years. Jesse Pistacacci on my right, Julius Johnson on my left. Fellas, welcome. Really appreciate you coming, being here with us tonight, taking a little bit of time before tomorrow's game. Jesse, I'm gonna start with you, and you guys have just finished up taking finals and writing papers, so this is the typical college essay question here. What's the start of college basketball experience been like for each of you, Jess?
It's been really crazy. I'm talking about I felt every type of emotion so far, but it's been really fun, and I just try to have as much fun as I possibly can. If I'm not having fun, then I'm doing something wrong. But it's been tough, but I've loved it so far, and I'm excited.
Was there an expectation you had coming in on the court? I think off the court, it's kind of hard to have an expectation. You don't know what college life's going to be. Richmond is different than other schools. Just on the court with how you fit in with the guys, how you fit in with the system, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've always just wanted to be able to contribute. So that's all. I came in here wanting to be able to contribute, and I try that. I try to make that my goal. Every practice and every game to be able to contribute to the team.
All right, let's find out from Julius. Push that microphone right up to your face, too, Jess. Appreciate that. Julius, what about your expectations coming in, and then kind of where you're at right now, what you're thinking about the first couple of months college basketball?
I mean, college basketball it's college basketball. I mean, it's ups, downs, and whatever you want to say about it. But to me personally, it's been a great experience. I never thought that, you know what I'm saying, I'd be playing college basketball before, but now that I'm here, I'm excited to be here.
How do you handle the downs? I think it's easy how you handle the ups, obviously, but do you look to teammates? Do you look to coaches? Do you look to friends who aren't basketball players? And I'm hoping there haven't been too many of them yet. But how do you kind of manage that in your first year of college life?
I mean, honestly, the teammates are great. They all welcome you with open arms. So I just go to Trey, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very like
helpful,
fatherly.
Yeah. Fatherly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good to get back to him.
Yeah, he's the father of the team.
He's Chris, I'll bet you'll nod your head in agreement on that. That all kidding aside, fatherly or not, seems like the right guy. That if he had a down moment or a rough practice, that Trey's been through it all.
Yeah, he really has, and you can tell how Trey, he has his own very dignified, mature style, and but you can see him all the time at practice talking to guys, and I think sometimes when you're an upperclassman, when you're out, you're kind of thinking about getting your rest in the game, so it's not the easiest thing to go up, and Trey's always doing it, and I think all of our guys are really good with it. I think Chandre's another guy who's very talkative and looking out for the guys. TJ Klein, I think, is someone who's looking out for the guys. So I appreciate hearing Julius say that. Doesn't surprise me about Trey.
What about the ups and downs of the freshmen and Jesse and Julius in particular, and kind of the chart that they're kind of carving out for themselves to this point?
Well, I think they're both really, really good players with a chance to have great careers. And, I've told them individually that I think had we played a different schedule, they probably would have had a lot more opportunity this year. And that's really what they need. I think if you came to practice, you could see how well they're doing. It's not as consistent as the older guys, but you can see how well they're doing. You can see their talent. But when you're playing so many good teams, it's just hard to gain those experiences in a few minutes here, a few minutes there. But I think when they've gone in, I think they've done well, and I think it's a little bit of a learning process. But I think Jesse is a tall guard with good speed, really good understanding of the game, a good shooter. I think Julius is potentially a great shooter, very good finisher, good sense for the game. So I think these are the kind of guys who have done extremely well here. But it's difficult. When you're out there and you're playing another ranked team or another high major team, you want to make sure you just trust the older guys that much more because they've done so much of this in the past.
How do you guys feel that you now have become embraced the way Richmond plays basketball, so you don't have to think about it as much? Is it becoming natural yet? And I will tell you, last week on this show, I did mention to Coach that I happened to pop my head into practice. This was a week ago already, before the Old Dominion game. You guys were doing some of that 5-on-0 stuff, and it was all of you young guys, and it actually clicked in my head that it looked like you were much more fluid on December 5th or 6th, whatever that was last week, than you were on October 15th or November 1st. How close do you feel you're coming, Jesse, to kind of having to be able to do everything that you do in this system without thinking about it?
Yeah, I'd say I'm becoming really close. Obviously, there's some times in practice or I say basically every day I learn something new. Whether it's timing. So if you were to tell me the play, I could do it. But lots of times I'll go through the play and Coach Mooney will say, well, in the game, lots of situations, the guy will trail you this way. So when you come off the fade screen, I want you to go a little further. You know what I mean? So it's I'd say the biggest thing for me that I'm learning is just kind of like the things that people don't really see.
Mm-hmm.
It's this is usually how the defense plays it and whatnot. But besides that, I think for the most part, I pretty much know the offense. Just the little small things that comes over time that you learn through constant repetition in the games and whatnot.
You'll be learning those for 4 years. I'm sure. I think, truthfully, if you ask Terry or Trey or Dion, they're going to tell you they're picking up little things even now as seniors and in some cases redshirt seniors. Julius, how about from your perspective, as far as how close you feel to really, really getting it?
Well, I believe I'm coming along. I still have a lot to learn, and I'm willing to learn. I still slip up on like the small things, like Jesse said, and just knowing that everything counts. You know what I'm saying? Even the slight movement could be the biggest part of the game.
How about being freshmen in general? I guess there's three true freshmen, right, with Covian this year, and a couple redshirt freshmen with Paul and Quan. So they've been here for a year. How do you feel from that perspective that you're coming along? That you guys are the young guys on the team right now?
I mean, it doesn't bother me. You know what I'm saying? It just I think I said.
They've welcomed you, I assume,
Yeah, of course.
as we were talking
Yeah.
earlier. Do you look at all to guys like Paul and Quan, who technically are freshmen but were here last year?
Yeah, I talked a lot to Quan, even like before the season started during the summer. I came close with Quan, and he's willing to help, and he tells me just the next play, just keep moving on, and then you'll finally reach your goal.
What was it like when you got into the first game?
I was really, really nervous. Yeah, I was really nervous.
Has that nervousness kind of gone away now
I mean,
when you get in games, or is it still there?
Man, it's died down a lot, but even sometimes I'm still like nervous to mess up.
Jesse, how about for you? What was game one like, and how has it changed just 9 more games into the season?
Yeah, my first game was crazy. I remember I was on the bench and I told Julius, I'm like, hey, I don't know if I can shoot a free throw right now. I'm nervous, dude. I'm just nervous. And so I went in the game and had a nice little hustle play, got the ball, got fouled, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but now I'm going to the free throw line. And I remember I was taking my 2 dribbles and like my knees were just shaking. I was like, my whole mind was like, man, let me just not airball this. It was one of the worst free throws I've ever shot. But I think couple games in now, if I feel like I've changed, at least mentally. My first game was I was kind of playing not to mess up, so I was just don't mess up the first game, don't mess up the first game. And now as a couple games in, I don't really, I mean, I don't think like that at all. I just go out and kind of just play, and that's how you're supposed to play.
Chris, do those answers surprise you about how forthright and honest these guys were about how nervous they really were in that first game back on November 13th?
No, not really. I can, you can totally understand. It's just when these guys especially have just played basketball so much their whole lives, and as much as you think you can prepare for college basketball, it's just so different. The time, energy, effort, all these things that prepared for one game, just for one game, and then suddenly the crowd and the intensity and the speed of the game. I mean, I get nervous. I don't have to play, and I get nervous. So I think it's very natural, and I think it's also something that they'll move past and really attack. But it's hard. It's hard to be prepared for college basketball. Like I said, these two guys, as much as anybody we have, I bet have spent as much time in the gym as any guys we've ever had coming into their college career. And still, you can't just be totally prepared for what it's like.
Do you remember how nervous you were in your first college game? Is there a Coach Carrill story to go along with it?
There is actually. So,
this is what I love. I love the Coach Carrill stories.
So these guys probably don't even know who Coach Carrill is, but so we played a tournament at Cleveland State, and we flew in the day before, and I can remember thinking, well, practice was just going to be casual, because we had been on a plane. And I found out early that it wasn't, and I heard about that. And then in the game, we beat Cleveland State, and I only took one shot. And Coach Carrill kind of was on me that he called me a few things that I was too scared to shoot. And we played Coastal Carolina, who was very good the next night. And I think I took 2 threes on the break, which was something we never did at Princeton or whatever. And he reminded me that wasn't the right thing either. So, well, we won that game too and won the tournament. But yeah, I was really scared, and I was lucky. There was only about 300 people at the first game, so that wasn't nearly as terrifying, I guess, as a home game at the Robins Center.
Yep, good stuff. All right, let's take a timeout. Come back. We'll find out more about these guys, about their upbringing, their high school experiences, and how they found their way to the University of Richmond. We'll do that with Julius Johnson, Jesse Pistacacci. When we come back, Spider Sportsline, Jose and Bon Air on the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric. Thank you.
Jose Bon Air is proud to support University of Richmond basketball. Join us Monday evening at 5:30 for the live broadcast of the Spider Sportsline, featuring head coach Chris Mooney and remember, kids eat free all day, every Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy one free kids meal per paid adult entree or sandwich. Jose Bon Air is located in the Bon Air Shopping Center at the corner of Buford Road and Forest Hill Avenue, and at josinbonair.com.
Can you handle a full rack? Buzz can. He's been smoking, chopping, saucing, and glazing barbecue his way for over 30 years, specializing in succulent, spare, tender baby back, and jumbo beef ribs with recipes handed down for generations. And don't forget about the award-winning pulled pork sandwiches, cooked daily over Buzz's signature hickory smoked wood. Stop by the original location at 1119 North Boulevard in the Fan, or the new Buzz and Ned's Real Barbecue at 8205 West Broad Street in the West End.
Need a good price on tires with great service? Visit Dyke Tire, your locally owned Tire Pros dealer, for all your car care needs. Our services start with a full line of tires for your car and truck, including Bridgestone and Firestone. We work on all vehicles from oil changes to repairs to your engine. Dyke Tire Pros is a proud supporter of the University of Richmond Spiders. For the best deals on Bridgestone and Firestone tires, visit Dyke Tire Pros in Richmond today, online at dyketire.com.
It's the Hoops Happy Hour. This is the Spider Sportsline, live from Jose and Bon Air. Once again, here's Bob with Coach Mooney on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5 and the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Again, game time tomorrow is
noon at the Robins Center. 12 noon tomorrow, our pre-Christmas game. We've done that before. Week of Christmas. A lot of folks have time off, out Christmas shopping. Great opportunity to take a break. And then the other part of it, Chris, quite frankly, the backstory before we get to these guys and how they got to Richmond. It does give your guys and your coaches and yourself, if you're heading out of town, an opportunity to get a little bit more time because they can get out Tuesday night instead of having to wait until Wednesday morning.
Yeah, absolutely, and we really appreciate Keith and David and the administration understanding that, because it is when we get so little time off, or these guys get so little time off, especially with the travel, that it is nice for them to be able to go to home one night earlier. And this is actually a really long break for a college basketball team. So yeah, we're going to try to get these guys right after the game. We have all their rides lined up to the airport and get these guys home so they can be with their families for Christmas.
Does that concern you at all, that it's such a long break this time around, or totally a healthy thing?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it yet, but I'm sure as soon as the game's over tomorrow, I'll start to worry about it. It's, again, with a lot of veteran players, it doesn't concern me quite as much, but it is a long break. I mean, it doesn't seem like that long, but it is a long break, and I think it's a difficult one. If you try to come back too early, I just think you're probably not as likely to have great practices anyway. And if you come back too late, so it's really hard. And then especially having an away game creates that much more of complexity. So I'm not going to think about it yet, and hope that it just goes well when we get there.
All right, let's talk to these guys about how they got to Richmond, let alone where they're going home to after the game tomorrow. Let me start with Julius. Obviously, if you go on our website, if you go to the bio, you can read, where they're from, how many points they averaged, the accolades they got, that sort of thing. Want them to kind of take the fans behind the scenes a little bit about how you wound up at the University of Richmond, Julius, and what high school life was like. You went to a high school, Florida Air Academy. Tell us a little bit about that and what the basketball was like down in Florida.
I attended Florida Air Academy my second half, my 8th grade year. I sat down with the coach, Alvin Caporo, and he sat down with me and told me like he could make me better, stronger, faster, better player. And then I did some research on the school, and I found out how many kids actually went to college from the school. So as a 14, 15-year-old kid, that sounds wonderful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I attended the school. I had to cut my hair, which was really big. And
no such rules at Richmond,
right?
Obviously, I'm very jealous, but okay.
But yeah, when I got there, I'd seen all these big people and big name people, and they welcomed me with open arms, and they taught me how to play ball, honestly. And I just continued to learn and progress through my years there.
What was that lifestyle like, though, for you? You mentioned, had to cut the hair, but there's more to it than that, isn't there?
The lifestyle, it was pretty hard at first. My eighth and ninth grade year, we had to wear uniforms. It was a military prep school, so we had to wear military uniform, had a bedtime, and had study hall and lights out and stuff like that. So it was kind of hard because as a kid, you want to play around, stay up late, play video games, but there, honestly, you couldn't.
How's Coach Mooney as a drill sergeant compared to the ones you had at Florida Air Academy?
Coach Mooney, he's a lot calmer, he's a lot nicer than.
Listen to the audience there. How was the basketball? I mean, the
basketball was great. I mean, playing with Will You Get, who went to Florida and now is playing in France, and playing with those guys just made you want to become one of those guys. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Chris, what do you remember about the recruiting process of Julius before I ask him, how he decided on the University of Richmond? He was obviously a prolific scorer in high school, playing at Florida Air Academy down in Cocoa, right?
Well, I can, Julius mentioned his coach, Alvin Caporo, who is a tremendous coach, and Florida Air Academy probably had 15 Division I players over the course of the last 15 years, maybe even more. And he didn't allow his guys to play AAU.
Huh.
So the guys were there in the summer, but every single day, we went down there a few times in the spring and then again in the fall. They would lift hard, and then they would play. They would come out and they would practice. They ran a little bit of similar offense as we do. He's just a tremendous coach, and they all had a good sense. I mean, he was demanding of them. I think he really cared about them, was very involved in the recruiting process, but was really demanding of them. And they were extremely well coached. I mean, extremely well coached, and I have incredible respect for the program that they have. And so we were, sometimes a coach is so good in high school, you want to make sure that the player is good, or is he just, as a result of being so well coached. And Julius was terrific. They would play pickup, and sometimes some of the former players would come back. They were really, it's just an exceptional program. And Julius stood out right from the beginning. He's a great shooter, but also his passing, his sense for the game, and he's very tough. I mean, he's very willing to go in there and bang and get beat up a little bit. And I think that showed up right from the beginning.
How much did you know about Richmond before this recruiting process started? And then the second part of this college essay question, why Richmond at the end?
Honestly, I didn't know much about Richmond at all because I just hear about the Florida's and Texas, Kansas, schools like that. But when I did my research on Richmond, and then I finally came in to visit early in my career at Florida Air, it was just a wonderful place, a beautiful school. The coaches, outstanding. The players, all welcome, and it just felt like a place I just wanted to be.
Hey, you mentioned all you hear about is schools in Florida, but you've already had the opportunity to go back home.
Right.
Obviously, didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, certainly. But what was that like? I mean, you're not even, really got your feet wet yet in college basketball, and you had a game back in Florida.
I mean, it was great. My family and friends came out, had an opportunity to watch me play. Even though we lost, it was still a great experience for me.
Good, very good. All right, Jesse, let's go to the other side of the table here. A much different story for you. If you go to the bio, obviously you know that you played some high school ball in New Jersey, you played some high school ball in Georgia, you played some high school ball in Texas. I don't even think I have that in the right order. If I'm not, I'm pretty sure I don't have that in the right order. Actually, take us through that process. What that was like for you, going from different places, how that all occurred, and how you wound up at Richmond.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and give a little short story. I played my freshman year of high school basketball at my home, my home school, or not my home school, my hometown school, Sharyland, and I basically played there my freshman year because my brother was a senior. So we had been talking about playing together since I was like a little kid. So I knew eventually I was going to end up leaving. And the reason why I was going to end up leaving is because basketball down there is not it's not the best basketball. I was considered a post player down there. I think I was like the second tallest player there for basketball. So I knew that was a place that I couldn't just stay there if I wanted to like truly develop. And so I played my freshman year there. Transferred to Blair Academy in New Jersey to play for Coach Montagna, who's one of the best coaches I've ever played for. And I suffered a couple injuries there. I had one of the worst ankle injuries I've ever had in my life. At the start of the season, my sophomore season, kind of never really recovered through it until about I guess towards the end of the season. Junior year happened, had a torn meniscus right at the beginning of the season. So I was like, oh man, like, it was really upsetting. And then I was living with a guy named Rashawn McLeod in the summer to play AAU with his team, Sports U, that was the name. And midway through the season or the school year, Rashawn calls me and he says, "Hey, I'm moving to Atlanta, so you won't be able to stay with me in the summer, and I don't know who you're gonna play AAU with." And so I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." So I called my dad. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, Rashawn's moving. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the summer." And obviously, junior year AAU season is really important. That's everyone tries to have a breakout year. So I talked with my dad and whatnot, and it was we got it seemed like the best thing for me to do was to come back home, and because I had connections with AU teams there in Texas, so I knew for sure I'd at least be able to get on a team. So that kind of happened. I came back home, had to wait 30 days because of transfer rules to play back at Sharyland. Played 2 games, twisted my ankle, and I had like I think I had like a sprained ligament, sprained Achilles, And so I was like, wow, like junior year, high school season was just gone. I think I played a total of 9 games my whole junior year. But we ended up making it to the playoffs. Made it to the third round, which is the farthest round we've ever Sherilyn's ever gone through. So that was pretty exciting. Um, then midway through my AAU season, Rashawn calls me and he's like, "Hey, I have a coaching job in Atlanta. Do you want to come?" And I was just like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll come." So just because I'd had so much respect for him and he had taught me a lot, and so obviously I knew that I had to kind of get back out, for my senior year. I didn't think it'd be best if I stayed down there again. Yeah, I was like a 6'3" point guard, and they never seen that. Yeah.
So you've gone
But
from being a post player to
yeah,
now
yeah,
being
to
the other end of
yeah.
the spectrum.
So I went to Johnson Ferry Christian Academy in Marietta, Georgia. It really had probably the funnest time I've ever played basketball happened there. I just have just some awesome memories, and yeah, I guess I got recruited by UNC Charlotte,
Right.
and I ended up committing there. They had a coaching change. Things kind of got crazy, and then I wasn't really sure like well what was going to happen. I think when I committed to Charlotte, that's when Richmond had offered me that same day, but I never really got I never really get to build a relationship or whatnot because I thought I was going to go to Charlotte. So the thing with Charlotte fell through. Then I remember driving to Rashawn's house, and he's like, "Yeah, so you're probably just gonna go to Richmond." And I was like, "Yeah, but I mean, what else?" He goes, "Nah, I think Richmond's the place for you." I was like, "Yeah, but don't you think?" He goes, "No, just here, call the coach. Trust me, that you can have a great time at that
Huh.
place." So I was like, "All right." So I called
Wow.
called Coach Slew. I think I might have talked to Coach Slew, but yeah, that's kind of really how it started. And
Wow.
then I realized, yeah, man, it was everything worked out great, and I really came out visit, had an awesome time, and
Do you ever think what it would have been like to have your high school career kind of like boring old Julius over here, where he just went to one school
yeah,
for,
it's
for his entire high school
you
career?
know,
What were you thinking, Julius? My goodness.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely lots of bad times, but I would not take it back. I got to meet so many awesome people through this little journey, and it's just been awesome to me.
What are the checks and balances, Chris, in all seriousness that you've got to do with a kid like that who's bounced from one place to
Yeah.
another and has had the injuries that he's had,
Yeah.
where you might not have been able to see him ever at 100%?
Yeah, well, I mean, as unique as that story seems, I mean, so many high school players transfer, and I think with Jesse's right off the bat, it was clearly to go to places with better basketball, and the to be all I've never told Jesse this. The most surprising thing is when we got his transcript, and it was great, and it was just shocking because usually with guys who have 3 schools, there's some kind of crazy this semester's missing, or he didn't he doesn't take a foreign language, and all these things to work through. And his transcript was great, and we could move right forward and recruit him. So, but yeah, you make sure we talk to his high school coach. We talk to all of his coaches and at each different stop, and just try to get as much information as we can. And when we brought him up on the visit, that went great with his parents, and that was it.
Pretty good stuff, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I mean, it's a really intriguing story. It's worked out obviously well for you to land here at Richmond. No more crisscrossing the country now.
Yeah.
This is where you are going to be set
Yep.
for the next 4 years. The one last thing I want to do with you, Jesse. Obviously, when I first heard you were coming to Richmond, right away I went to the coaches. How does he pronounce his last name? How am I going to pronounce whatever happened to recruiting Jones and Smith and names like that? And here we go. And in fact, I'll tell a little behind the scenes story. I should have actually put this, given this to Matt Josephs and let him play it. One day before practice, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago, I went up to him with my microphone and I said, "Pronounce the way you want your last name." And Jesse was like, "I don't really care. There's an Americanized version, and then there's the native tongue version,
Yeah,
I guess." So we say Jesse Pistacacci, which you're okay with, right?
Yeah.
All right, but if it were the native tongue, what would it be?
Okay, so just I called my aunt, and she's listening. So hey, Aunt Lisa. Anyways, just to make sure I had my facts straight, and she said my 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 dad's my dad's my great grandpa, he spelled it, and he spelled it Pistokcha, so Pistokcha. But then my dad's grandpa spelled it Pistakachi,
Huh.
and then my my aunt and yeah, and they said that he always pronounced it Pistacacci, or yeah, the way it is now. But yeah, so they really don't know for like how it actually like
Wow.
suppose it's like there's like a spell, it was spelled, there's like a something was misspelled one day and whatnot.
Can't imagine that.
Yeah, but yeah, so Pistacacci, it means wake up and see in the Choctaw language. So that's 100% for sure.
Wow. And now, what is the derivation of it?
Say it again. Oh,
What is the
Choctaw. It's
yeah? What is that?
It's Choctaw Native American.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we're okay going with Pistacacci.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm back when I'm back home, there's a Mexicanized version from because my mom's Mexican and where I live it's 90% Mexican. They would pronounce it pistocache. So they kind of put a little Mexican accent into
You're
it.
confusing me. Don't do that. We have a game
Yeah.
tomorrow. What am I going to say? And again, Julius, how do you pronounce your last name?
Johnson.
Johnson. Okay, attaboy. All right, fellas, we're going to let you go eat dinner. Hope you'll be back many, many more times over the next 3+ years. Enjoy your break at home, but keep basketball and that goal first and foremost in your mind. Thanks, guys. Julius Johnson, Jesse Pistacacci, our player guest. We'll take a timeout, come back with Coach Mooney. Email, spidersportsline@richmond.edu. Phone call still available, 622-0950. Have the live mic. If anybody here in the house has questions, we can get you on the air as well. Back in a moment from Joe's in Bon Air on the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
To Jen's perfect car. You may be a one CarMax car needle in our 40,000 CarMax car haystack, but we'll find you. You're a four-door, four-wheel drive with a, quote, bomb-ass stereo, and you will become Jen's car. That is, once she decides whether you're teal or turquoise. CarMax. Also, you have good gas mileage. You can't hide from us, you rare vehicular unicorn. We'll track you down on CarMax. The bright side of car buying.
Lux Chevrolet is celebrating their 100-year anniversary, and they're going to use their century of experience to help you find your next Silverado, Suburban, Impala, Malibu, or Equinox. Lux Chevrolet uses their vast knowledge of GM vehicles to help you maintain and service your vehicle to keep it on the road longer and help maintain its value. So for Chevrolet sales, service, or parts, go where experience reigns supreme. Lux Chevrolet in Ashland and online at luxchevrolet.com. Proud to be family-owned since 1916.
Hey guys, this is Big Al, and I want to talk to you about something serious, prostate cancer. 1 in 7 of us will develop it. I know firsthand because I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Fortunately, I was diagnosed early, and when caught early, it's treatable. I went to Virginia Urology where my doctor discussed my options, listened to my concerns, and took care of me in a thorough and professional manner. So if you're over 40, have a family history, or are African American, you need to talk to your doctor about an annual prostate cancer screening. Call Virginia Urology, 288-0339, or go to virginiaurology.com.
ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5 are brought to you in part by Papa John's Pizza. This month, order a large pizza with one topping for only $9.50. Use promo code ESPN950 at checkout. You're listening to the Spider Sports Line with men's basketball coach Chris Mooney and the voice of the Spiders, Bob Black, live from Joe's in Bon Air on the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Got about a little less than 10 minutes or so again on the program. Spiders home tomorrow at noon at the Robins Center. Our airtime at 11:30. We hope you'll make it out there, take a break, come see the Spiders and Presbyterian. Richmond's last home game actually till January 2nd, till conference play begins against St. Joe's. That's a Saturday afternoon 12:30 game. The game on the road that we alluded to earlier at Texas Tech, a week from tomorrow night. That game time, by the way, has been moved. If some of you saw our early schedules, and I think our schedule cards obviously still have the original game time, they've bumped it up to 5 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Central time. I guess Texas Tech, their football team, is in a bowl game. Is that right, Chris?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they've moved that up, which I'm sure is just fine with us.
Yeah.
Would get us home even a little bit earlier than we would have. So at Texas Tech is next Tuesday, 5 o'clock Eastern time, and again, tomorrow is noon at the Robins Center. All right, email spidersportsline@richmond.edu. We kind of talked about this, Chris, but maybe you can go back over it a little bit, talking about the true freshmen and how they've adjusted to the speed of play. And maybe I wasn't that specific. We talked about college life and on and off the court, but just the speed of play, I think you referenced a little bit, certainly compared to high school. It's dramatically different.
It's so much faster, and it's not just faster up and down the court from baseline to baseline. It's just so much quicker also. So you have to make decisions so much more quickly. You have to adjust to how aggressively the defense is playing you. In high school, if a defender could put pressure on you, our guys being Division I players could drive around them and maybe score, not easily, but over somebody. That's not the case with so many big players and help defense and being so well coached. So really it's the quickness of things that is difficult to adjust to. And the best thing we can do is have kind of high intensity practices where they're getting used to it. If you're always going a little bit slower or not moving that hard or competing in practice, then that speed is going to be slow. And so for us, I think to help those guys, help everybody, but especially those guys, it's important to move quickly and move with intensity at practice.
What about the progress of a guy like Quan Four? Looked like he had a really good game the other night against Old Dominion. Obviously didn't play much last year because of the broken foot, but I think you could probably see it and learn it a little bit and experience it through some of the other guys.
Yeah, no question. I think that Quan is. I think he's doing very well. I wish he had gotten to play last year, but of course that'll help us on the back end. And I think he's doing really, really well. I'm really critical of him and on him a lot because he's so different for us, and the speed that he has and his explosiveness, he can really be a difference maker. While we have good athletes, he's at another level, and so the more he can play and the more he can become comfortable, the greater weapon he's going to be. So I really see him progressing, and think that he has a chance to really have a great career.
Yeah, the last few guys that you were on and critical of, they turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
If I remember which guys I'm thinking about, they did okay for themselves. So Quan's in some pretty good company there. That's kind of a backhanded compliment almost from a head coach to be able to do that. And there's a reason why you're doing that, because you see such a high ceiling.
Absolutely. He's just so explosive and fast. Has a really good sense, and he plays calmly even though he's playing so fast. So that is something that's really impressive to me. And when you have somebody that talented, you just want them to be good already. And he's working very hard at it, and I think he's going to do great.
All right, another question. Defensively, how do you adjust your matchups when teams are patient enough to wait for a big man matchup with one of our guards in the lane or on the block?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because the way we play defense and we're switching so much, we'll have mismatches at times, and that one in particular shows up a little, depending on the team and what they're trying to do, shows up a little bit. And what we try to do is we really try to surround that big guy. So if there is a mismatch, we work a lot on this in practice and getting the smaller guard out of there when the ball's on the weak side of the floor. But when it's on the strong side of the floor, we work on really trying to front the post when a guard is just totally in front of the post player, and then really rotate our help defense, almost like we're double teaming him even before he gets the ball, just to make it look as crowded as possible. Again, obviously there are times when those mismatches hurt us and they score, but we feel like the disruption in their timing and their movement, even when they take a long time to look into the post, is a certain advantage to us. So we work on those things. We practice a lot of our defense when we're in. We start the possession when we're in mismatch positions and try to work our way out of those.
Pretty good chalk talk. Wrapping up our Spider Sports Line tonight. Final comment on tomorrow, Chris. And you say this a lot, that it's about us. It's about Richmond. There are certain games during the year where I think that's more prevalent than others, and I would think tomorrow against an opponent you've never played before, no familiarity with, holiday break coming up, finals just completed. If ever you were playing against yourselves as well as your competition, I would think tomorrow's that day.
Definitely. We always stress to our guys that no matter the opponent, we're playing us versus our potential, and how close can we come to that each game and each practice. And so tomorrow is that. It's an early start. We have Christmas coming, but we need to really make sure we play with great effort at the beginning of the game, play with energy, share the ball, do the things that we've really done well. Play downhill to a certain extent and really move the ball as well as we can, and just not worry about whether we're playing Presbyterian or Texas Tech or West Virginia, and play the game as well as we can.
And get a win tomorrow, you'd wrap up a homestand where you're 4-0, and I know when you look at that schedule, you certainly want to protect the home court, especially it's kind of rare even for us to get 4 straight games on your home court.
It really is, and I agree, Bob. It's so critical for us to play well at home. Not only have we had a great schedule here, but the A-10 is doing really, really well. So we know we're going to have a lot of great teams and try to get in the habit of winning games at the Robins Center.
Merry Christmas, Coach. I know we'll see you tomorrow, but wish that to you, your family. You got them all here with you at the restaurant tonight. We appreciate that, and hope you have a really joyous holiday season.
Sounds great. Thanks, Bob.
That's Spider head coach Chris Mooney. Again, thanks to Julius Johnson, Jesse Pistacacci, our special player guest night, and everyone who was here tonight. I know it's a busy time at the holidays. Really appreciate your support coming out to Joe's Inn Bon Air. We'll see you back here Monday, January 11th is our next show. Monday, January 11th at 5:30 once we get into conference play. Nick Bailey is produced on location. Matt Josephs in our studio. Bob Black saying so long. Will Bryan, thanks for your help as well here in the restaurant. See you at the Robins Center tomorrow, 11:30 airtime. Spiders and Presbyterian at noon, right here on the Spider IMG Sports Network.